Welcome to the May 4th edition of CBD Talk Podcast. Today's guest is Samer Abilmona, Director of Operations at Ambary Gardens. And here's our host, Harley D'Amico, to get things started.
Good evening, everybody. This is Harley D'Amico with CBD Talk. Our first guest is the Director of Operations of a CBD extraction company called Ambary Gardens. How you doing tonight, Sam?
I'm doing great, Harley. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. Weather out here is pretty nice. So if you could just tell us a little bit about you, exactly who you are, a little bit more about who you work for, that'd be awesome.
Sure. My name is Samer Abilmona. I am the Director of Operations for Ambary Gardens. A little bit about me. I was born and raised in Virginia, and I've always been around farming and around plants, but obviously cannabis farming was more of a very small time recreational thing there than I could do anything else with. So I moved out here a few years back and got into the medicinal marijuana industry pretty much right after full legalization happened back in 2012. And
nice. So how long have you been working in the industry?
I've been in the industry since then, about 4 years now, going on my fourth year. I started working for LiveWell, where I ran a couple different departments through my time there. The last thing I did for them, I was working their transplant department. Basically, I oversaw all of their new plants coming into the facility and their propagation. After that, I started working for Pink House, which is another medicinal facility, a little bit smaller, a little bit more my style. It was more of a higher quality grow, a little bit more focused on quality and the patient than the bottom line. But still,
because from my understanding, usually when you grow, you have to either sacrifice quality for quantity or the quantity for quality. Is that correct?
Exactly. There's very few, very large-scale producers around that are doing things correctly just by virtue of basically being in the green rush and trying so hard to be the first to do it or the biggest to do it. A lot of people cut a lot of corners, and it created a lot of problems in their facilities. And today, even a top-notch, large-scale facility is probably still using things like salts and chemicals and trying to maintain production. And their concern is always pounds per light, not necessarily quality of those pounds. And so you're always going to find better quality when you shop smaller, for sure.
Well, I fully understand, and I fully agree. So what exactly brought you towards the CBD world more than the THC world?
Well, it was a little bit of fate and a little bit of just entrepreneurship. I also was running a consulting company at the time, helping people set up their grows and trying to teach organic methods, trying to stop people from using certain, rough chemical pesticides and that sort of thing. And through that, I was introduced to Steve Cohen, who is the owner of Ambary Gardens, and we kind of developed a relationship where we developed this idea. And he wanted to stay away from the THC side of things. He only wanted to do strictly medical benefit type plants. And based on what my research had shown me with CBD, we thought that doing high CBD hemp and focusing on the CBD molecule was something that A, nobody was doing, and B, could be very, very beneficial for a lot of people. And so that's kind of how we got started.
Yeah, because the CBD has really been overlooked with the huge rush of recreational use of the cannabis nowadays.
Absolutely. I mean, I one thing that I noticed very early on that caught me off guard was that a lot of the more beneficial products out there had a higher amount of CBD in them. They were either all CBD or they were a 1-to-1 ratio CBD to THC. But most dispensaries were creating those products through fan leaves and throwaway and byproduct of their THC extraction. And so we wanted to provide a much higher quality CBD product because it seemed like the people who needed cannabis the most were seeking out CBD products, and they were getting essentially the lowest grade material, whether it be flower or extract, from these medicinal dispensaries because their focus was THC.
because there wasn't really the research done on the CBD or anything yet to really understand what it was compared to the THC.
Exactly, and just, you know, the way that the market was shaped, partly due to prohibition, and since then, THC is the moneymaker right now. And so when you're talking about investing the kind of money that a lot of people are investing, THC just becomes the safer bet as far as what you're going to produce.
Right. So Ambary Gardens is a company that's focused completely on CBD, from what I understand?
Yes. We do have potential partnerships with medicinal dispensaries and people who have MIPS who might want our product and use it to create those 1-to-1 ratios. But as far as our company, personally, we do only high CBD hemp. We're technically classified as an industrial hemp grow, but it's a very special hemp grow because we only grow high CBD hemp females that we grow very specifically to our needs in a controlled environment, much like you would see a medicinal marijuana grow. However, it's all CBD flower in the rooms.
Right. So exactly, can you kind of break down what the difference between hemp and cannabis is?
Sure. So there's a couple of different ways to distinguish them. The biological way is genetically hemp, true hemp that's been grown or gotten from nature is very fibrous, long, stocky plant material that isn't really intended for anything other than fiber production and green material production. True hemp that you would find in a hemp field, generally speaking, is grown male and female together in big fields, harvested very much the way traditional crop is harvested.
And that's because they want to harvest that crop for a lot of different purposes. Like you were saying, the fiber can be used for certain things. All the seeds can be used for certain things, but you have to grow male and females in the same crop to get that type of production, correct?
Exactly, yeah. You to be able to get the things that traditional hemp producers want, your hemp seeds, your hemp oil, that sort of thing. It's the easiest, quickest, best way to do that is to just have good males and good females all growing in a big field together.
Right. So Ambary Gardens, how exactly does that grow different than your typical outdoor hemp grow?
So so that's the other definition of hemp versus cannabis, or medicinal cannabis, that is. That traditional biological definition doesn't necessarily exist as much because we nowadays have to go by government guidelines and federal regulations. And so the new definition of the hemp versus the marijuana is instead of just being marijuana is the one that produces THC and hemp is not, now it's basically percentages of THC. So hemp is not necessarily considered medicinal marijuana, but neither is any marijuana strain that's been hybridized to be less than 0.3% THC at harvest. And so that has become the new definition of hemp, is a plant that is able to grow to maturity without producing THC, and no other definition. And so what we do at Ambary Gardens is we've selected hybrid hemp and medicinal cannabis strains that have been specifically selected and registered with the Department of Agriculture to be less than 0.3% THC, and therefore we can get that flower production, that CBD production, the resin production that you want from medicinal marijuana, while still being able to classify it industrial hemp.
Gotcha. So when you grow those plants, you're more focused on the extraction of the CBD and just the different uses of the CBD?
Exactly. We focus on milligrams per square foot, being able to provide as many milligrams per square foot out of our grows of CBD as possible so that we can get those molecules of CBD to the people that need them at the highest quality possible.
I understand. So what are like the different types of products that have CBD in them? I know a lot of people are really new to CBD, yet alone CBD-rich products. something that isn't really talked in the media too much right now, but it's starting to get spread out. It's helped me a lot. I'm a veteran. I'm diagnosed with PTSD. I served 5.5 years in the Army. Can you kind of elaborate on the products that are available for people now?
Sure. We have a very wide range of products because what we've discovered actually is that basically every ailment that somebody has come searching for CBD for, it has helped in one way, shape, or form. CBD we found through our consumers and our customers who have come and purchased from us and tell us these stories. It's a great anti-inflammatory, and a lot of diseases these days have inflammatory issues, and that becomes a huge source of pain and discomfort, regardless of what the disorder actually is. And so we have developed a wide range of products for all kinds of, we have salves, we have tinctures, we have sprays, we have nano-encapsulated CBD, which is a very new product. It basically very lowers the molecular size of the CBD to a point where it becomes much more readily available to the body, and it becomes basically instantaneously absorbed. And so whereas in a tincture you would feel it in about 45 minutes, with the nano you feel it in about 3 to 5 minutes.
So it's kind of a way of controlling the dosing that you can get.
Exactly. It's a perfect product for somebody who truly just wants pain relief, doesn't want to waste the product or overuse it, and wants metered dosing to be able to know exactly how much they're consuming every time. And that the nano provides that. It gives you 5 milligrams per dose, and that 5 milligrams goes a lot longer than it would in a tincture because it doesn't get digested, it doesn't get broken down in your liver, it just immediately enters the bloodstream, and you get all 5 of those milligrams.
And that's a big deal when it comes to the medical side, because it seems like the rec side, people are just, consuming different amounts of edibles. And what people don't understand is it takes a certain amount of time to break that edible down. So it's that dosing over a long period of time. So now that more research is being done and we're able to do these things like nano-encapsulate CBD, we're just now being able to really control the dose so we can really see how it starts to affect certain symptoms.
Exactly, and we're having a much better time now being able to figure out exactly what, the minimum effective dose is and that sort of thing, because when you're doing the chocolates or tinctures and that sort of thing, with that 45-minute, hour-long wait period, especially since it goes through your digestion, that time frame and the effectiveness of the dose is going to be much more dependent on the person and how their digestion works and what they've ate that day and that sort of thing. With the nano, you bypass all that. You get something that's much more regimented, much more succinct with every person. It's going to be the same no matter who takes it.
I understand. I wanted to back up just a little bit. You said salves. Now, I live out here in Denver, so I'm pretty familiar with what a salve is. But I know a lot of the people that are going to be listening are from a lot of different places where they don't really offer too much salve. If you could kind of tell us what a salve is, kind of what's in it, how it works.
Sure. So basically, it's a medicated ointment. It's a lotion. Our lotions are very special because we have a couple of different kinds for a couple of different specific purposes, and each one sort of ingredients in them, each ingredient serving a purpose. So they're very high-quality ointments just to begin with. As a lotion, they've got great high-quality ingredients in them, and then as an add-on to that, they're all infused with CBD. So you get a very high-quality body lotion that will also alleviate pain, help with achy muscles, rashes, that sort of thing.
Right. So what are some of the symptoms that you're seeing people use CBD for? We've had people come and want to use our products for PTSD, as you mentioned, other issues with anxiety or depression. We've had parents come get CBD for their kids who have autism and epilepsy and other disorders where they've seen both a mental and physical change. We've had burn victims come and use the sprays. We have CBD-infused sprays, and so if you have a very sore spot like a burn and you can't
rub something into it, the spray will deliver that CBD the same without you having to physically affect the area. A lot of success with skin conditions, people with acne and eczema, seeing improvements using some of our skin lotions. We've had cancer patients even come and usually they get tinctures, and some who have slightly more advanced stages of cancer will just get the pure concentrate so that they can get much heavier milligram doses. And we can't really say for sure what it's doing other than making them feel healthier, happier, more comfortable, making things like chemotherapy a lot easier for them, giving them their appetite back.
And it's crazy how companies are regulated nowadays. If they're really speaking out at all against any pharmaceutical drugs or anything like that, the FDA wants to know every little thing. But so I've seen a lot of the research and everything on Facebook about it helping a lot of kids and a lot of people that are having disorders, with seizures and everything like that. Have you ever thought of really working with any kids or anything like that, or do you know if Ambary Gardens has used or had any children in these situations use our CBD?
We have had parents use CBD and use it on their kids and have had great success. Specifically, kids with Dravet syndrome or other types of epilepsy. We've seen seizures be reduced from 10s a day to 2 to 3 a month, and we have heard a lot of amazing, beautiful stories from parents just like that. We had one parent give a child with autism our tincture, and that child's behavior completely changed. They were a lot calmer. They were a lot more focused. They got along at school a lot better. It did a lot of great things for that little girl. And as much as I would love to work much more hands-on with some of these people and have a lot of more interaction with parents and talk about their success and how we can help. As you mentioned earlier, with current FDA regulations and other regulations, they are basically making it very, very difficult for us to even give anecdotal evidence or talk anecdotally about the benefits of the product.
Right, so everything's just pretty much word of mouth anymore.
So, yeah, exactly. Basically, we just...
And one thing you really touched on that, that a lot of the kids were feeling a lot more focused. So I came out to Denver and I started using medical marijuana pretty much multiple times daily because that's what kind of helped and counter my anxiety, the other things that would set on. As I got more educated on the endocannabinoid system in the body and the different cannabinoids that are grown in the plant, I found out that some of them are not psychoactive. So when I was using a lot of the medical marijuana, there was a lot of psychoactive effects that happened, a lot of tiredness, a lot of short-term memory loss, things of that effect. And then as I become more and more onto the CBD products, I found out that it's a lot easier to stay focused. You don't have the drifting mindset or anything like that of feeling stoned or high. Can you kind of touch base on why that is?
Well, basically, your endocannabinoid system works with every cannabinoid differently, and the cannabinoids that you ingest are going to react with your endocannabinoid system in their own special way. So even though it all comes from cannabis, it's not going to all do the same thing. THC is an antagonist of your of those receptors in that psychoactive part of your brain that gives you those psychoactive effects. The almost hallucinatory properties in some people, the paranoia, your short-term memory loss, that sort of thing. CBD, however,
and those are a lot of the things that are associated with really any cannabis product by any outsider looking in that hasn't really been educated into that industry, right?
Exactly. And so when you ingest CBD, you assume you're going to get a similar effect, especially if you ingest it at a high dose. However, CBD actually works as a counterbalance with THC. CBD will kind of reverse those effects and actually block THC from overpowering your endocannabinoid system and overtaking those psychoactive effects.
That's one thing that that's one thing I've really noticed because I started getting the hemp concentrate from Ambary Gardens, and I've been waiting for a dabbable CBD item, but there hasn't really been one that come out. When I ingested THC, a lot of the times you get that up and down feeling. So sometimes you'll feel really high and racy, and sometimes you'll feel down and depressed, and you'll go through like this wave of up and down emotion. But I've noticed like when I intake the CBD with it, I don't get to, an altered state of mind, high feeling, and it kind of stays the same feeling throughout the entire time rather than going through the different mixed emotions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, CBD is great at that. It's a wonderful counterbalance with THC. One of the unfortunate consequences of prohibition is that a lot of the marijuana that can be found is very high THC, and that's a problem because it's not balanced anymore. And so when you reintroduce CBD into that system, you create a much more balanced cannabis, and it creates a much more balanced effect. If you have THC in with CBD, you might still get a little high, but you're not going to get all those negative effects that come along with a very heavy ingestion of only THC. On the same vein, if you only ingest CBD, you won't get high at all, but you're still going to feel relaxed. You're going to get those benefits of that balancing of your mental state and the clarity that comes with it.
I fully agree. So, leading into the future, I know that CBD isn't really being looked at too much federally because it doesn't have as much attention as the THC. Is CBD legal in all 50 states, or is it just now starting to get done, or is each state individual? How exactly does that work?
So right now it's a little bit of a gray area, but it's essentially hemp and CBD products are legal federally. However, producing them is state by state, and not all states have legalized it. And what's worse is because there's no stabilized hemp or CBD structure or federal guideline, they don't allow any hemp that is cultivated within the United States to be shipped out of state. So we have sourced CBD from overseas that for some reason is allowed to be sold in all 50 states because the hemp itself is legal. But we produce our in-house product is right now only available in Colorado, but we do have some product that we can send to all 50 states. It's just like I said, it's a very gray area right now with the federal government as far as what they want to do with hemp and how they want to classify it, and if they want to ever do any real separation between medicinal cannabis and hemp.
Right. So when it comes to like you were saying, the genetics of the plant. Now, the THC is what has been sought after for so many years, for all the recreational use that everybody was using. How is it that you came across your strain that is pretty much non-existent in THC, from my understanding? Is that something that you guys had to breed, or is that something that's available somewhere?
Well, there are high CBD hemp seeds available out there. Absolutely. Our first seeds we sourced from Centennial Seeds. It's a breeding company up in Fort Collins here, and the gentleman who runs that company is a great guy named Ben, and he has been breeding CBD into hemp and keeping THC out of it for the last close to 6-8 years now. And we were lucky enough to be able to get a very good batch of seeds from him and find some great seed stock. And we are doing our own research and development and our own breeding to be able to continue to develop high-yielding, high-quality CBD hemp. But right now, what we're running is just a very good version of Ben's seeds, and high CBD seeds are available from him and others. It's just very difficult to find stabilized stock so that you're not running a risk of having that higher percentage of THC.
Because when it crosses over that threshold of 0.3% THC, that's when it's considered federally illegal.
Exactly, and there are certain seeds that are technically high CBD, but can only be grown in a medicinal facility because even in their vegetative state, they're going to produce 1% THC.
I understand, and then you guys can really maintain that because you guys grow everything indoor.
Yeah, we grow all of our plants in a greenhouse controlled environment. We have all of our environmental controls. We've got light deprivation. We've got supplemental lighting. We run everything as tightly and as cleanly as you would a medicinal facility because at the end of the day, our customers are sometimes immune compromised, but in all cases just deserve and need the highest quality product, and that's what we try to provide for them.
So the highest quality product, so that means that you guys really just extract the CBD and focus on mainly the CBD rather than the flowers and everything else that's on the plant.
Exactly, yeah. Our flowers are hang dried. They're well taken care of. They're trimmed by trimmers, but they're not. They're never sold as flower. They're strictly, their purpose is to produce as much resin as possible so that we can extract as much CBD as possible. And that's basically what we do is we take our plants and do whole plant, full spectrum extracts that produce a very clean, very high quality, 75 plus, sometimes as high as 86% CBD in the final product.
Nice. So then that product is then broken down into other multiple products that it just depending on your preferred way of ingesting the CBD into your system, then that would be the product that's most likely for you.
Exactly. That high quality raw oil is the same. It's dabbable extract, so it's the same extract that you can buy by the gram to smoke. It's the same extract that'll go in a tincture, the nano, any ointments or lotions. It all starts from that one source.
Right. So in your opinion, in what ways do you take CBD?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
In what ways do you take CBD?
Honestly, I take it just about every way. I have an ointment, a bottle of salve, a bottle of tincture, nano, and a dabbable gram usually at all times. I love the lotions for joint pain and muscle pain. I'm a smoker. I smoke cannabis. I have for many, many years, and so having those that CBD concentrate to add with my THC concentrate or to just smoke on its own is great. It's very flavorful. It adds a great feeling to the high. But basically, I use all of our products. Honestly, there's a different one for every occasion. Basically, if I've got a headache and I need quick relief, I take that nano and I'm good to go.
Right, and I do the same. So I do want to ask you one more question before we get done today. I know you're pretty busy, but exactly how do you see CBD being accepted federally in the future? Do you think it's something that should be tested before the THC into a state to kind of separate it from that stigma? We'll kind of know how to classify that there is a lot of different endocannabinoids and ways they affect you?
Absolutely. I think while in my personal opinion, I believe that the only real course of action at this point is to just federally declassify and legalize all forms of cannabis, because all forms of cannabis have shown to be beneficial. And if they just do the tests and free people up to do those tests themselves, they'll see the positives and that stigma will slowly go away. However, I do believe that CBD specifically is going to have a better chance on the federal level, at least at first. I think it's going to be a great foot in the door for THC and for medicinal cannabis in general, because when the FDA and other organizations really start doing their own tests and looking at the cannabinoid system and the endocannabinoid system within our bodies and seeing what CBD by itself can do, they're going to be a lot more likely to let that pass and let that go through, and hopefully that'll be the stepping stone that helps legalization fully. But I do think that because CBD is not so psychoactive and because it's getting harder and harder to hide how many people that it helps, it's going to be very hard for the federal government to ignore it for much longer. And I think there's a much, much stronger case right now for hemp and CBD legalization nationwide than there is for full medicinal or recreational medicinal marijuana legalization.
Right. I fully agree with you. So if anybody was looking to, look more into any of the products from Ambary, where would they find those at?
So we have an online store. We have AmbaryGardens.com is a great starting point. We've got all of our products there online for purchase. We also have a retail store up in Kittredge, Colorado, that people are welcome to come up and visit and take a look at our products and talk to our people and see what we've got to offer. Right now, our hours are 10 to 3 weekdays, but we are looking to expand that and get some weekend hours in so that summer mountain drivers can come in and pay us a visit.
Awesome. All right. Well, I'm not going to take up too much of your time tonight, so I'm going to go ahead and let you get off of here. We're going to take some questions.
Samer, if you could, if you have the time, if you'd like to stay on for our questions as well, you're more than welcome to.
Sure. Yeah, I'll stick around for a little bit. Not a problem.
Okie dokie. We're going to take a quick commercial break here, and then we're going to get into our questions. So we'll be right back. Nestled in the foothills of the Rocky Mountains, Ambary Gardens is a high CBD hemp cultivator with a therapeutic line of products, including salves, tinctures, nano-encapsulated products, and now an 88% CBD concentrate with 0 THC. Whether you're looking to buy for yourself or as a wholesaler, Ambary Gardens carries full-spectrum products that are available in all 50 states. With bulk oil options, custom terps, and white labeling available, Ambary Gardens should be your first call for your CBD needs. Visit them today at AmbaryGardens.com or call them at 720-328-1514. Looking for a quality CBD product with great customer service? Jump online and go to www.mycbdcare.com. With sun-up to sundown live customer service, helping you find the right product to fit your needs is their number one priority. And for a limited time, get 20% off your entire order with free shipping by using coupon code PODCAST. Head over to mycbdcare.com today or give them a call at 970-541-2239. My CBD Care, because your health matters. Okay, welcome back. And we have actually got our first caller. So let me bring him on with his questions. And everybody, welcome Mike Warren from Southern California.
Hi there, Mike.
Hi, how you guys doing?
Thank you for putting on this.
Thank you for putting on this. Two questions. One for, I think, Harley, real quick. Is this available on the typical podcast, like on my phone, where I can get it and listen to the replays?
Actually, I will be adding. Yeah, I'll be adding it to the iTunes podcast, the Google Play podcast, and to Stitcher. That'll all be happening this week, so you'll be able to subscribe to it from that.
Awesome, because I looked at it while this was playing and I couldn't find it, so that's great. Question I have for Samer is, you mentioned that certain parts of your product are manufactured outside the United States and certain parts are you guys actually grow yourself and manufacture your products on. Question is, I understand for sure the concentrate you probably can't sell anywhere besides Colorado, but can you sell your nano outside of Colorado, or is that, explain that process and how that works?
So essentially, again, it's a very weird federal law, but the law is that any CBD or hemp product that is sourced from overseas that has gone through customs is legal in all 50 states. However, CBD that's grown or cultivated in the United States is only legal in the state that it was grown in. So to answer your question, we do have nano available in all 50 states. It's just unfortunately not made from our full spectrum plant from our garden. It's made from we've done our homework, and it's a quality source of CBD. However, it is an outsourced, out of the country source of CBD, where you'll get essentially the same effects. You get the same milligrams, the same everything. It's just to make it shippable outside of the state of Colorado, we had to the CBD that went into the nano had to come from overseas. Everything else about the product, though, is the exact same.
Okay, so we could rest assured that through your testing process or whatever you do, that it's going to be just as effective. Is it as high as CBD? You mentioned going up to 88% or 84% or whatever you said. I mean, is it the same milligrams or however you measure CBD?
So, yes, essentially it is the exact same milligram. It'll produce the same effect as far as milligram of CBD dosage. The only difference is we get it from an outside source, and therefore we refine it and turn it into isolate and make it into something that we can more readily use that's a little bit higher quality of a product. Essentially what we do is we take a lesser quality product and bring it up to par so that we can use it in our product safely and with confidence that you're going to get what we say you're going to get.
Okay, so as far as obviously getting what you're getting, is the efficacy, the actual result of the product the same from what you can tell? And I don't know how you even can test that, or if you do.
Yeah, I mean, essentially right now we can't legally run any sort of test on our products, unfortunately. So we go by anecdotal information. We do know potency tests. We have those kinds of tests, so we know that as far as in a 250 milligram bottle, you are getting 250 milligrams of CBD. And as far as we can tell, based on our individual customers who have tried both the in-state nano and out-of-state nano, it looks like the efficacy is the same. You're going to get those results because at the end of the day, plant-based CBD is the key. Where you see efficacy issues is where there's companies, for example, in England that are making synthetic CBD, and that has turned out to be virtually useless. And so as long as you have a plant-based, natural source for your CBD, the efficacy shouldn't change.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. That answered my question. I really appreciate your time. And
hey, Mike, would you, I know that you have had samples of our product, and I would really appreciate it if you would share just a smidge about how you're using it with your dogs.
Okay. Long story short, I got some samples of your product, and it was actually the nano product that we used. And I have two little dogs, and both of them are just really anxiety-ridden. They have a lot of issues, separation anxiety and everything else. I don't know if it's because they're little dogs or what. But Dawn had mentioned to me that, we should try it with them. And so what we did, we feed them twice a day, and I literally just put a drop of the nano in their food, on their food, I should say, morning and their evening meal, and they calmed right down. My little Yorkie has got some trachea issues, and he's constantly hacking and everything else, and we were giving him medication. It was actually a Schedule 2, I think, narcotic, or Schedule 3 narcotic to help keep him calm, and the nano at one drop, actually 2 drops a day for him, calmed him down, just as probably as effective as the narcotic that the veterinarian prescribed us. So I know it works, and I'm excited to get your product and use it more, and for us too, but in our animals also.
Thanks, Mike.
The
Thanks
problem
so much
we've
for
got
sharing
here,
that.
I think somebody might have mentioned it, Harley might have mentioned it, in California anyway, you go to the dispensaries, and both my wife and I have our license, and you go to the dispensaries, and there's no CBD products. I mean, virtually none. You get a couple chews or something. It just doesn't have much in the way of CBD, and it appears to me that you guys are on the front edge of the whole game as far as that goes, and to me, it's what the CBD is about, the health part, more than the THC. And maybe I'm wrong, but that's what it appears to be developing to me.
Thank you so much for calling in and sharing that with us. And
thanks, guys.
we hope to be able to get you what you need as well. And we do have another caller right now. Okay, Samer and Harley. We have another caller. This is Kevin. So,
Hi,
Kevin, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Thank you. I just have a quick question.
And who do you have a question for, Samer or Harley?
It doesn't matter. The difference between full spectrum, are full spectrums different from varieties?
So I can kind of start answering that for you, Kevin. So when it comes to a full spectrum product, usually what that entails is that there's a wide range of endocannabinoids, because in your body is an endocannabinoid system. That system, just like your nervous system requires different vitamins and nutrients to operate properly, your endocannabinoid system needs those as well. So with the full spectrum product, there's a range of cannabinoids from like CBG, CBN, different cannabinoids of this nature that are also non-psychoactive. Just like CBD and THC are two different cannabinoids, these other cannabinoids are just the same. So when it comes to an isolated CBD product, what that means is that all the other bonds have been removed, so the CBD has been isolated alone. The bioavailability of the isolated CBD, from what I found, is a little bit less bioavailable. And from what I think that's from is just not getting the other cannabinoids that come associated with a full spectrum product.
Is that what they refer to as the entourage effect? And if so, can you talk about that a little?
Not so much as the entourage effect of a psychoactive feeling of a high or a buzz or anything of that sort. Just like CBD is non-psychoactive and doesn't give you that feeling, there's a lot of these other cannabinoids that haven't been studied or researched yet that we're finding are non-psychoactive as well, but have other medicinal qualities.
Very nice, very nice. Go ahead, Samer.
Yeah, sorry. If I could expand on what Harley was saying, as far as the entourage effect, when it refers to the cannabinoids working together, essentially what we found is exactly what Harley was saying. When you have that full spectrum, you get a little bit more efficacy only because those cannabinoids work in harmony together in your endocannabinoid system, and the more cannabinoids you have, the more likely it is that you're going to be able to trigger that relief. That's another reason why I believe that eventually it all needs to be declassified and put together, THC, CBD, all the cannabinoids, because being able to have a little bit of THC, have a little bit of CBD, all of those cannabinoids in your system is really going to provide the most benefit for the most people. However, CBD on its own or any other cannabinoid on their own still have their own effects and are still very powerful on their own as far as working in your system. The entourage effect exists to an extent, but it's by no means necessary for efficacy.
Excellent. I have a question for you. Now, we have in the state of Colorado the rec laws. You can actually buy cannabis here recreationally. You don't have to have that medical license. But we also have some laws that are very strict with respect to the amount of THC that you can have in your blood, even if you haven't smoked for weeks. If you get in a car accident, that's something that they can actually test for. So if you're just taking CBD and you're not doing anything else, would you test positive for a drug test?
No, you should not. Even if it's a full spectrum extract like ours, where there's very, very minuscule amounts of THC and other cannabinoids outside of CBD, the way that drug tests work is they look for a specific molecule. In this case, the THC molecule. So if that THC molecule is not there, there's nothing for them to test. So if you're not ingesting any other THC products, if you're only ingesting CBD, you should, work-wise, medically, whatever the case, drug test should not be an issue.
Okay, and then there was something else I was going to ask. It's very frustrating to know for some of the listeners here, depending on what state they're in, that their livelihood could be affected by a positive drug test. So if CBD is available in all 50 states, and if they are in a state or that does drug testing, or that it's illegal, THC is illegal, or if they're in Colorado where it is legal, but their company runs drug tests and they're at the risk of losing their job and losing their health insurance if they test positive, by taking CBD alone without the THC, are there benefits? I mean, I know it's best to have that whole, have them all working together, but really, are there benefits if you just take CBD alone?
Absolutely. CBD is great on its own, and it's great on its own for a multitude of reasons. Like I said, that entourage effect is by no means necessary, and when you talk about anti-inflammatory effects, tumor reduction effects, epilepsy reduction, that sort of thing, CBD on its own can do wonders with that, and specifically for people who have children that they want to use this product on, or people in states where they have to be a little bit more careful about having THC in their system, or whatever the case. CBD provides them with an option for that relief without having those side effects, both personally and physically. With a child, for example, a parent obviously doesn't want their child to get high or have those psychoactive effects. So you could give your child CBD, know that you're helping them, and be assured that you're giving them something that's natural, that they can't overdose on, that's not going to get them high, but is going to give them the relief that you've been looking for.
Oh, fabulous. Fabulous. Okay, we do have another caller, and we are welcoming Christopher in. Christopher, can you hear us?
Yep, I'm here. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, Chris, how's it going?
Awesome, pretty good. How are you guys?
I'm doing pretty good.
I just wanted to call in. I was listening here, and I've been using the concentrate myself, and I've got multiple sclerosis, and I'm like a really heavy cannabis user, and I've noticed an immediate decrease in my overall cannabis consumption, and I have a little theory about that that's purely anecdotal, but dabs change the way I medicate, because it's just so much, and when I first got into dabs, I was craved them, and I really feel like it's due to some higher concentration of CBD in there, because when I hit the CBD dabs, I'm pretty sated.
Right, I can relate.
I'm not going back to the pipe.
Just to make people aware, so a lot of people out of state aren't exactly aware of what a dab is. So a dab is when you have a concentrate. It's in a waxy substance that you put on a thin piece of metal. You then put it on a apparatus that's heated to the proper temperature to just cook off the cannabinoid that you're looking to consume. So it's just another way of absorbing the THC as a way of inhalation rather than an edible.
Yeah, I mean, having access to such a high concentration of CBD is like such a gift to the medical cannabis community. It's really like putting the medical back in medical cannabis.
I wanted to ask you, so like before you did the concentrate, did you try any other CBD products before that?
Nah, because I never really bothered. Like at my head shop or whatever, they've got, you know, a few tinctures or like e-liquids that have some CBD, but it's all very low concentrations and very high prices. So I was like, nah, not even gonna bother.
Yeah, and with you can intake it.
Yeah. So when you
really
started,
take a high percent.
So Christopher, when you started using the CBD concentrate, how did that affect your THC use? Because that's, I think, the anecdote you were going towards.
Yeah, definitely like decreased in a large degree. I definitely found myself not, because I think that a lot of like what my body is craving is more cannabidiols, not more THC. But like having dabs, and like I've got a really great caregiver here who like grows some awesome strains that like test awesome, and they test high CBD returns, you know, like over 1%, up to 2%, some of them, which is so high in like, you know, the regular pot farming community. And but they're also like super heady, you know, like 26% THC. And so in order to get the CBDs my body craves, I find myself getting too high, if that makes sense.
And that's right, Chris. And I think the other thing about it too is that when you ingest THC, when you're taking those dabs of very high THC, you're experiencing a very high spike in specifically in those receptors that are giving you those psychoactive effects. And when you have that kind of a spike in that type of a way, it's a much harder crash, and that's why you get those cravings. And I know exactly what you're talking about, because I too have smoked my fair share of cannabis extract, and that spike is really a crazy one when you're talking about THC. And the beauty of CBD is it balances that out. So even if you're still smoking the THC, you're not getting that spike anymore. It's kind of plateauing out to a more even keel high, that where you still get the THC, you get the CBD, but you get it in a much more balanced way that doesn't give you that up and down that you would get with just straight THC.
Yeah, I totally feel that. Yeah, I heard you talking about that earlier, and I think that is my experience is the same as that. It's more even.
Awesome. Well, I'm really glad to hear that it's been helping and that you like it. It's good to know. We always like hearing feedback, and we always like knowing that our product is going to good use and people are getting benefit out of it. Like you said, you know, trying to put the medical back in medical cannabis.
Yeah, it's really cool. You know, I mean, I love watching people grow all this wicked heady weed. Don't get me wrong, it's awesome. But I think it's really great that there is at least a sector of this community that is like steering away from that, because that's not the only angle, you know.
Exactly, and we need all of us. You know, I don't want people to stop growing the THC stuff, and I won't stop growing the CBD stuff.
Word.
I'm glad both sides are there.
Exactly.
Definitely. So specifically, is there anything with the CBD concentrate that you're using with your symptom reductions, or anything specific that you would, you know, could share that might help someone else?
Yeah, so one, like, immediately what happened, what I noticed, the very first thing was, so in my hands and feet, I'm numb and tingling, like, all the time, pretty much. And I'd say, I don't know, 15 or 20 minutes after I, like, first did those dabs, I'd noticed, like, a 40% reduction in that sensation. It's like a little more like comfortable in my body, I think. And the other like real benefit that I've noticed is that my sleep is solid. Like when I'm asleep, and I'm getting high quality sleep. and I don't know if that's something about counterbalancing the THC, because I know THC can kind of screw up somebody's REM sleep. But I wake up feeling much more rested if I do a couple dabs of CBD before I go to bed. That's for sure. I'm definitely just more comfortable in my body, a little more comfortable in my body, which is like a great gift.
That is wonderful. And when do you go to your next doctor's appointment, just out of curiosity? Have you been since you started taking it?
Going to see, I saw my primary care the other day, and I was talking to her about it for a while.
Did she freak?
What's that?
Did she freak out and say, no, you can't take that, that's dangerous?
Oh, no, my primary care is the best. My primary care is awesome. She was like, I wish we had more time to talk about that. Oh. So I'll probably talk to her some more the next time I see her. But I'm going to see my neurologist, I think in July is my appointment with him. So I'm going to talk to him too, because he supports my cannabis use too. So I think he'll be interested in the CBD. He's a pretty interesting guy too. I've got good doctors. I'm a lucky guy.
You are a lucky guy. You're a very lucky guy. Well, thanks much for calling in. We do have one more caller that we're going to try to get in. We might run just a smidge long, but we really appreciate it. Thank you for sharing your story with us. Yeah,
thank you guys for doing this. This has been a great podcast.
Awesome. Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
Peace. I'll talk to you guys soon.
So we have a new caller in, and I'm sorry I did not get to speak with you before I put you live on the air. So, who
am I
are we
live?
speaking with? Yes, you are.
Am I live? Oh, it's Alexander.
Hey.
My name is Alexander, and I'm from Toronto.
Hi there, Alexander.
I'm actually a cannabis consultant for the medical industry here in Canada, and I have I'm also a medical patient, and I'm a very recent addition to the cannabis community. I've been around people who use cannabis all my life, but it never really responded well to me until about a year and a half ago, when I decided to try it up just on a whim with my dad on his 50th birthday, no doubt. And it was an incredibly positive experience. I found that the anxiety and depression that I've felt for a large majority of my life, I have cyclic depression and almost ongoing anxiety, were like lifted. And I felt that, like, if you have somebody sitting on you for a long time and all of a sudden they just get off of you and you're like, oh my God, there's room to breathe.
Just brightened everything up.
Incredibly. And it was, and as a chemist, I have a background in chemistry. I wanted to know why. So I started digging into all the peer-reviewed papers and found all the mechanisms by which, you have these anti-anxiety effects. And I became really interested in it. And at the same time, my career as a chemist wasn't really going anywhere because there wasn't any jobs. So I made lemonade with lemons and decided to join the cannabis industry. But I have a question for you. I've read a lot of papers about the anti-anxiety effects. But I guess, do you know which cannabinoids best pair up with CBD to give you the anti-anxiety effects? Or is it just the CBD just by itself?
So as far as anti-anxiety, there are a couple of cannabinoids associated with anti-anxiety, CBD being a major one. CBN is another one. But it really, what you want is just a good full spectrum ratio. You want high, for somebody with anxiety, you definitely want higher CBD than THC, or a balanced 1-to-1. A balanced 1-to-1 ratio of cannabinoids, that's actually the way cannabis wants to exist in nature, is in a 1-to-1 ratio. If you were to take any cannabis seed, and whether it be medicinal marijuana or hemp or whatever, and let it naturally crossbreed with itself and drop its own seeds year after year, something that's right now 26% THC will go back to a 1-to-1 state over time. So I believe that nature sometimes knows best, and having just that balance of cannabinoids is going to be the most effective for the most people. Balance is key, I found. Too much THC, and you start having you don't want when it comes to anxiety, and so a higher CBD or a balanced 1-to-1 ratio really seems to be the best when it comes to a calming anxiety relief strain or extract.
Yeah, because my experience with the anxiety was when I wasn't ingesting any THC, like I was explaining earlier, you'd go through the up and down feelings that you would go through. Sometimes, that triggers the anxiety, which could be counterproductive to what you're trying to do. But when you have the CBD to kind of help regulate that high, as people call it, I think it makes it a lot more maintainable with the anxiety.
Yeah. And it's funny, I actually just recently got genotyped, and there's this one gene called COMT, and I found that this actually helps, it increases anxiety for people that have this gene variant. And I've been, because I'm based in Toronto, I've been looking for some pure CBD products to try out for the anti-anxiety effects. And much like your previous caller, Christopher, there's very few, Mike, there's very few CBD-only products in stores. And even when there is, they're usually just, take my word for it, this is 15 mgs. There's no analysis done on it. And so you can't really have a treatment plan and use it as a medicine unless you have all this information. And my question is, what are the legalities surrounding sending CBD products from, I guess, Aubrey Hill to Canada? If I wanted to have this.
Yes, and I have sent that information in to get a legal viewpoint on that.
That falls into one of those gray areas to where what's considered a Schedule I drug, what's all covered in those federally.
And also, what I was asking is if it does come from out of the country and has gone through customs, if it's that product, can it get shipped to Canada? If it's come into the country, gone through customs, then can it be shipped out? So.
Yeah, and that kind of makes sense that way, right? It's almost like, you import it from Denmark, you ship it to the United States to be processed, and then you ship it other places, because if there is that permeability between the border, why not both ways?
Fully agree.
We're finding out about that.
But as of right now, I don't know a legal answer, but we can definitely get back to you. Dawn does have your contact information from the sound of it, so that's something that we'll definitely be looking into. A lot of that stuff falls into the gray area when it comes to the shipping, but anything that comes from one of them sources that's the isolated CBD product, I agree with you. I don't think it should be any issue. If we can ship it in, we should be able to ship it out.
But you said, you just never know when it comes to the government.
Thank you for the for the time, and I enjoyed the show.
Thank you, Andre.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Okay, well, Samer, did you have any closing remarks for us?
Nothing other than thank you for having me on, and great being on, talking with you guys. Hopefully we'll do it again.
Thank you, appreciate it. And we will be on again next Wednesday night, 7 o'clock Mountain Time. And we look forward to hearing from you guys. You can always reach us at cbdtalkpodcast.com. Leave us a message, send us an email. We'd love to hear from you and love to be able to answer your questions. Harley, did you have anything else?
Nope. I'll be back on here again next week.
Fabulous. All right. Well, thanks, guys, and we'll see you next week.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Thanks again for listening, and be sure to tune in again next Wednesday at cbdtalkpodcast.com. Until then, stay happy and stay healthy.